happening? God. Sounds like you got more than one kind of new visitor.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
You didn't do your hair. You've left your hair all fluffy.
Well, what else is it supposed to be? This isn't connecting. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, we just don't get any notifications going out. Here we go. Yeah, does it look bad?
No, I just like teasing you.
Mm. Hmm. Oh, yeah, we got 21 people in the house. So they're coming. Oh, it's only been a minute. Let me give it another 60 seconds. Whew, man. Big energy. Yes, it is. System interrupt. Bruce is in the house. Bruce is coming on for the hero's journey.
I wish you
I
would.
still don't have my phone, Bruce. I still don't have a phone number yet. Hopefully, I get one here pretty quick, pretty soon. Thank you. It looks lovely, Todd. Yeah, right. It looks like Hendrix. Thank you, though, for the compliment.
You got a fluffy on. You got a fluffy on your head.
Yeah, I know. It's all fluffy. Well, it's so humid here.
Got a fluffy. It's humid here too, but I managed to put all mine.
Well, mine's the lost cause. How did I know to stay up? Yeah, there you go. Hey, there's Divine Roberts. Yeah. Moi.
I love her.
Yeah, she's going to bed. Nick Desvart. I don't know how to say Nick's last name. Desvart. Zwart. How do you pronounce that in Australian? Zart? Yeah.
What?
Here we go. Divine says, here we go. Pretty cool. Now everybody's. Yeah, thanks for starting something, Morgan. Everyone's
commenting on your fluffy hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, that's what happens when you don't have a woman around.
I know. I'm telling you. Yeah, so I put on the heading, what did I put? Octahedrons, human-ness, and what? What was the other thing? Let's see. Oh, latest intel, identity deaths. That was a big one this past week. Octahedrons and human-ness. 50 people in the house. We can get started. Yeah. Where do you want to start?
I don't know. You're the interviewer.
I'm not the interviewer. I don't interview. I just have conversations. This thing with octahedrons is taking off.
Yeah, I've just come out of a massive, like absolutely massive experience of that. It's still, I'm still in the last 10 minutes. It's still blowing my mind. I was given I think back in 2014, I was first given an octahedron activation, and that was just placing an octahedron around yourself, expanding your own inner spiral from your heart, and a few other things. But about 3 weeks ago, it was expanded again, and I had to, spread it out across my room, the house, the property, the works. When I did that, the house that I was staying at, the man wouldn't leave. It was meant to be a house sitting job, and he just wouldn't go away. But as soon as I did that octahedron, to be honest, I woke up one morning and I was about 10 weeks and I was absolutely fed up with this man who wouldn't leave, who was buying me presents and offering me money, and it's not what I signed up for. So I almost swore at my higher self, said, what the hell is going on here with this man? Well, instead of getting a normal answer, my higher self took me through this process of an expanded octahedron activation, and expanded it, over my bedroom, over his house, over his property and everything. And immediately, within 48 hours of me doing that, he started going out every day and most nights. So I got a bit of relief from him. Well, anyway, we did it here on Wednesday night with an elderly lady here and her daughter, the owner of the place, and her mother, myself and another lady who was being the proxy for it. And 48 hours later, there was a mass exodus of all the people that were staying here. And Cherie, the owner, said, oh, my God, I don't know what's going on. That's never happened before. Has somebody scared them away? So it's just been really the four of us. Actually, another couples, two couples like in the middle area, but they don't mingle with anyone. But everyone else left. So there was 4 of us with our octahedrons fully activated, covering the whole property. 48 hours later, there's a mass exodus. Well, I just spoke to Cherie 10 minutes before I walked in. She said, oh my God, we've just got a surprise guest. He's walked in. She said, I was rattled because I've got all these weird things happening in my bedroom and I don't know what that is. And I walked out to meet him, showed him to his room. And he said to me, like, you are vibrating, something shocking, like, are you okay? And she said, oh, yes, I'll be fine. He said, no, you're not. She said, well, how would you know? He said, I'm a medium. So all the workers or the normal, like, gosh, I hate separation. So one group of people left, and already the first one that's come back today is a medium, a male, a young man, a medium. He works for a company called Red Earth. Here in Australia. I've never heard of them before. I've only found out about this today. When they're building highways, his company, he's the boss, goes out and spends 2 or 3 weeks before the work's meant to start, on the road work is meant to start, and they clear the whole area, and they find all of the animals, snakes, everything, and relocate them. They even, like, if there's a pond that's going to be, they go in and they collect all the fish and relocate the fish. Like, they make sure that no animals, no kangaroos, koalas, snakes, anyone is going to be harmed. Wow. But yeah, we've got our first, everyone went out, and now the first one's come in, and he's a medium, like a young man, like in his 30s. So I was like, wow, things are going to get really interesting here now.
So so just so everybody understands, the octahedron, each octahedron represents one person, right? I mean, you have 4 octahedrons.
We've got our own octahedrons that we set up around us. I've been shown for many, many years that as we come out of duality and the old dualistic grid is breaking down, the new grid's going to be consciously built by all of us, and in our trinified energies, mind, body, soul merged as one, or at least 51+%. So we're awake and conscious enough and anchored, embodied, that we're actually the new grid. The humans are the new grid. And we, each one of us that joins, then we become able to access each other's information, each other's power. We're all working as one in oneness. So the new grid that's being built, I've been seeing it for years, but I didn't realise I was only seeing the outline of the triangles, the Trinity energy. But as each person activates their own octahedron and becomes, whole and complete or whatever in themselves, they become the octahedron. They become it. So when I see it, it's lit up in white lightning. I'm within it. When I put it up on my Zero Pointing page for free, so everyone could have access to it. And David Manning did it, and he contacted me later on in the day. He said he was walking into a store, walking into like a shopping centre, and as he's heading towards it, he saw all these octahedrons, and they were all held in place by these golden foundations. And he said it almost looked like jewelry, or maybe I thought it almost looked like jewelry as I pictured what he was telling me, but they were all there. And then 3 nights ago, I was laying in bed, just when I was about to go to sleep, opened my eyes, and my whole ceiling, I could see how the original grid that I saw was the outline. But now we're seeing everyone coming together. So it's more like a platonic grid, solid grid of all of us made up together.
Yeah.
And then a couple of nights ago, I got a download about the bee, the hexagon, and the queen bee. There's always been a queen bee, and all these queen bees are coming, regardless of sex, but they don't wear crowns. They're of a service to humanity. And so imagine all these octahedrons, with one of the faces joining, merging, and then another one can come in, another one can come in. You're going to end up with something that looks like the hexagon, or certainly part of it is the shape of the hexagon.
Yeah, when you showed that to me, it looked like that one octahedron would abut to 12 other octahedrons. And
well, if you looked at the top part, you've got 6. But when you look at the bottom part, they're not going to butt to the original 6.
Right.
But the new ones are coming in, butting to them. So you've got all these hexagons, that are made up of triangles or octahedrons at its multi-dimensional level form. that are now fully conscious and activated. And part of, I feel that part of what we've been through in the last few days is we always understood that there was these multidimensional aspects of ourselves in dimension. What we forgot was that we're multidimensional aspects as well. And even Carl Jung spoke about, we've got 12 personality traits or 12 aspects of ourselves.
Oh, wow. 12 archetype. Yeah. 12 apostles.
Yes.
Wow.
We're remembering now that, sometimes my inner child will come out to play. So other times my inner teenager comes out to play. Sometimes my I don't like the word teacher or sharer comes out to play. Sometimes my wife comes out to play. Sometimes, we've got these different aspects that are operating all the time, and we're catching ourselves in that now. I said something to you that I'm like, oh, that was like my distorted masculine said that. I'm sorry about that. That was really harsh. Look, that's why we're able to recognize it, because we're actually becoming multidimensional human beings that is matching the multidimensionality of our higher aspects. I talk a lot
Let's come back to that in a second. Look, there's 2 comments pop up. Chris Hamilton, holy shit. I just looked up an octahedron to see what it was. I realized that's what I began doing a few months ago. But in my mind, I was putting a pyramid over the house and then another one below the house.
Oh my goodness. She's already, we're doing this organically.
Yes.
So many of us doing it.
Yeah.
When I put it up, Nicola Farmer's talking about how she's been doing it for a very long time. And somebody messaged me today and said, do you realize that Tom Kenyon, I think that's his name.
Tom Kenyon.
He's got, an activation very, very similar. So there are so many of us that tune, and even if we don't tune in, it's happening organically or naturally anyway. Some of us like to know everything, so we do it, and others just trust and go with the flow. But we're the grid builders.
Yeah. Jen Reynolds said 1 surrounded by 12. 12 centered on 1, and then Dr. Joe said the heart and 12 cranial nerves. So there you go again. And a lot of people talk about the 12, in their wake up experience over the years. So the octahedron, for instance, you have a meditation, the one you referred to, the one that's free on your website that David listened to. So there's a method. Let's just say there's a method like that, where you go in and do a meditation or some type of
quick 10-minute process, step by step. It takes 10 minutes, although I did get another part of it last week that actually is about the manifesting part, where we consciously, step by step, ignite our sexual power, not energy, our sexual power, and then start directing through the octahedron, through the power of the octahedron, the things that we want to manifest. I haven't had an opportunity because I've moved and I'm getting used to all the noises and everything here, but I'm going to put that up there for free as well.
Cool. And what I was going to say is, Todd being Todd. So I guess one avenue is a method like that. Dora Niemeyer just said she went to it last night and did it. And then I think you mentioned earlier when we were talking about how the octahedron, there's a relationship between the clearing that we do and the octahedron. Is that right? Like the personal clearing that we do and
that's not from me. That's Nicola Farmer said that.
Okay.
She told me that she's been using it for many years as a clearing tool. But then I watched her show that you did with her the other day, the live, talking about the tetrahedron, the macabre coming out. And then as it comes back in to rearrange itself into an octahedron, all that dross in the middle, in the middle of the divide, has to get pushed out to be cleared so they can join again. So, that made perfect sense to me too. I mean, what we've been through, like since I've left, on the one hand, we're going massive elevation. On the other hand, we've gone down to our darkest of darkest. It's like, oh my God, are we going to actually make this? Not like arguing with each other or anything, but like anything that was between us that we weren't aware of or hadn't addressed yet has absolutely been coming up to the surface.
So that middle area that she showed with those models that she had on the show she did with me that you're referring to, and what you're saying, and what I thought you said when we were talking privately a while ago, it would seem that there is a direct relationship between, as the dross in the middle dissipates, the octahedron is formed. right?
Yes, but I did it in reverse. So I got the octahedron first, and that
Mm-hmm.
was set in place, and then my shit came up, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
and it had to be dealt with and faced. I mean, I'd been sitting in that energy with that man for 12 weeks because I didn't have any money, and he kept saying, "I'm going to leave soon, I'm going to leave soon," and just didn't. And in the meantime, was trying to, God, court me or something. That brought a lot of stuff up at me. I was too scared to say to him, "Look, I'm very uncomfortable with your behavior," or it brought a lot up for me, finding my voice, living in a house where I was actually in fear, not knowing
Mm.
how to fix all of that. And then when I did the octahedron, it was within 1 week I went away, and just having that 2 days away from him, as I was driving back, I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I can stay here. So a few days later, I booked to go away again, and then I accidentally found this place, which I thought I was just booking for 2 nights, but I'm here. I'm here now.
Yeah.
And it is phenomenal, absolutely incredible. It's so nice to be in an energy where no one's, giving you lollies and chocolates and trying to seduce you. And we both had a lot of our old shit come up, stuff that we weren't aware of, victim consciousness sort of stuff, stuff that had to be spoken between us that we didn't think that we did need to speak of. Yeah, we've had a really big 3 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of cleared about 10 days ago.
Yeah, we've gone from bliss, for 4 or 5 days into like, I can't talk, I don't want to look at you. It's been incredible. So part of me thinks, we've been doing that organically anyway. But if we weren't aware of the split that Nicola Farmer was talking about, if that's how it happened, we didn't see what was going on. But yeah, when I heard her say that this morning, I'm like, yeah, well, that makes sense too. That absolutely makes sense too.
So if everybody understands, if you didn't see it, you have the Merkaba, which is what, a tetrahedron, right?
Yeah, but when they
yeah, and so she was explaining that, Nicola was explaining that it's actually coming apart, and the masculine and feminine separate, and then there's this space in between. That's what Morgan's talking about. They'll come back together, and it's squeezing all that.
I didn't say that. That's Nicola's. Nicola's version of it.
That's why I was asking.
Experience that got set up, and anything that was in there that was too low a vibrational to stay, my human self was forced to. And some days very uncomfortably. I mean, my worst day was on the 18th. I just woke up crying, and I was crying, on and off all day. There were no stories to attach or whatever. And then the next 2 days, so I had 3 days of like this really heavy emotion just coming that I couldn't attach to anything, but it was leaving.
Yeah, the 18th was a big day for a lot of people. I got 5 messages that morning. But still, the reason I bring that up again is because some people are built different than other people. And I just want, I guess there is it would just make sense that there's some type of relationship between continuing for all of us to do our work on ourselves, that is at a minimum, I guess, going to contribute to the reformation, of the two pyramids, the octahedron being formed.
Yeah, it seems like a massive reset, no matter what metaphor or symbology you do it through or see it through. It's a massive reset for a massive amount of us.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions maybe even. I mean, I don't know that many people, but there's so many of us that have been through this incredible, massive transformation. And then you've got the other side where you watch, and I'm not going to go too far into this because I don't want to, but we can see over there police in Melbourne shooting bullets at people for sitting in a park quietly protesting. Pepper spraying them, capsicum spray, all this sort of stuff. So, that great divide is getting even louder. And I've really shifted out of, looking in horror into like, oh my God, this is so exciting now. This is getting really exciting.
Yeah, that's for sure. And so, these shows that we've had this month, the Hero's Journey, I mean, they've been fantastic. But throughout it, and people have mentioned this before, but it seems like that it has been mentioned a lot. I would say from at least mid-June, identity deaths. We had a beautiful brother on today that reached out to tell his hero's journey story out of Puerto Rico, and he described it so well that even up until about 2.5, 3 months ago, he was literally in that state of, metaphorically being curled up in a ball in a fetal position, crying, mourning and grieving identity deaths. Which again, I think maybe that's some of the stuff that's in that middle area that's being squeezed out.
Absolutely, and we did it through our relationship. Where there were a couple of little areas that I felt like I didn't have a voice, and I had to face that. That's my program. Your behaviour was irrelevant. My program sent out a signal, I don't have a voice, so anyone or everyone around me has to reflect back, no, you don't have a voice. And that was part of my identity. I'm small, quiet, hidden, I don't have a voice. So that was an identity death for me.
So, and I think that's another thing too. Victim consciousness, of course, it's always been there, but it seems like it really, really was in people's faces. I mean, people everywhere I turn, people are talking about it, and how painful. And again, I guess that's associated with identity deaths and belief deaths, But and then of course the 18th came, and I think there was a 3-day period. There was a 3-day period that Jason Estes identified. Yvonnya had said earlier in the month when she came on the show, I don't know, August 20th. So
She
everybody,
said, I was saying August 18th. He was saying, but we all,
you were saying,
whether we stated out loud or got to do a live and say it, whatever, all of us knew this was coming. We could all feel it. And what I like at the moment, we can actually all feel that there's more. There's more. We don't even understand how much more there is yet. We know that we've done this massive thing, whatever that is, but we've all got the feeling, no, there's something bigger coming. There's something really exciting coming. It's what we're all co-creating together.
Which is interesting because you have the parallel of the distortion getting louder, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
It really is. And then there was a lady, I was telling you, made a comment on YouTube, which she verbalized what Nicola showed with those two models. And the way she put it was, it's so nice to see and it was on a totally unrelated video. I think it was on the one I did by myself yesterday. And she said, it's so nice to see us moving, the feminine energy in all of us moving out of a distorted masculine through that space into the feminine, right? And then you have a man come on today out of Puerto Rico, and he says to me, so funny, he says, now I understand why you always talk about the divine feminine. And I get it. He said, I got it. He said, and you always say, if you have the balls to do something. He said, Todd, you're wrong about one thing. It's not the balls, it's the ovaries. So he was basically making, he was being funny, but he was basically saying that within himself, that this is, he actually said these words. He said, I knew that I could not find the balance, that divine union within myself, until I found the true divine feminine and held her in a reverence. And of course, he's speaking of himself, which was amazing. The way he explained it. His name is Taino, and he was on earlier today. If you guys have time at some point this week,
Todd, we've all had to address our distorted feminine and our distorted masculine, and we've all had different equations of, what degrees we carried each one of them. But all of us for forever, for months and years even, have had to do that. I'm going to say this respectfully: the masculine have been slower at it because the feminine had this, but her voice was, her energy and her voice was repressed. So she knew it down here, but she didn't have the confidence or courage or the safety or whatever to come up and say this stuff. So she was already a few steps ahead. She was made to be more receptive to that energetic information. And bless the men, I've watched them, the courage it's taken them to do what they've had to do to meet her. So, the way I saw it, I've been saying to you for years, she's coming up. She's coming up to meet him. and he's coming down to meet her. And I don't know what's harder, finding the courage to do that, or having the courage to let go of all of the old patriarchal stuff that he was trained to be. Which one would be harder? It doesn't really matter. It's been hard on all of us, and we've all done a brilliant job. I mean, look what we've done.
Mm-hmm.
We can all feel what's happened in the last few days.
Julie Pershin makes a good point. She says maybe the distortion is the dross in the middle for the collective, for the collective's octahedron.
Yep, absolutely.
So it has to come out. And just like in our own personal lives, individually, as a couple, as a small group, whatever, it's not always pretty. But it's necessary. He said another thing today too. He said through all of this, he said, there's a part of me that goes, wow, this is really cool. This is getting really good. You know what I mean? And I think that's when we were talking, I said, yeah, it's nice because now you have a significant amount of collective validation, which we didn't have. I know you didn't have 10 years ago, and those others that started early didn't have, and there really wasn't a lot of even 5 years ago, to be honest with you. It was more of there was more separation in the community then, which only makes sense. But yeah, it's nice.
We've all said that, but and we all know too, there was never any separation in the community. The separation is in us, and as we're doing, getting rid of that dross in ourselves, and less separation is happening in us, we need to then create a mirror. Same with unions. As you get rid of all that in yourself, then you have to create a mirror. And we've always created a mirror, but you get to create better mirrors. So we're going to see less and less and less separation, which, something like Soulogy starts bringing everyone together. We're ready to meet each other. I mean, I think I've had about 8 or 9 women reach out to me in the last 3 weeks, and these women are just coming from all over different places in Australia and coming to meet me. Now, you know me, I've always been excessively shy.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting these women, as soon as I see them, like, oh my God, you look so familiar. I know you. Like they just they feel like I've always known them. So, my higher self said to me, we're going to do less of, and this is just for me. I know it's for me. There's going to be less of the actual on-the-road grid work that we'll be focusing on. The new real grid work will be in the people, person-to-person connection.
Yeah.
We're getting the codes, like we're the beacons of light set up on this new grid. And so as we meet each other with open hearts, we're sharing codes. So all the dots are getting filled in. Yeah. And it's not to say that we won't do grid work. Then I might go and visit Gympie Pyramid next week, and I've just met, another 5 amazing, incredible people. And so whatever's there that I didn't have enough frequency for to connect with or collect the last time I was there, now this time with the added codes I've had from other people, then I can, next time I go there, I can actually align with more of what's available.
Yeah. And again, what Taino said today, in his own way, was the energy was the same. He said, this is not, it's only going to happen when we go out and connect with others, and share it, and basically merge, basically, I mean, it's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And he said these words, it's not going to happen until we fall in love with humanity. I was like, whoa, now that's walking the talk.
Yep.
That's walking the talk. And he used a few examples. One of them, he was talking about, he lives in Puerto Rico on the 7th floor of a building, and I'm assuming it's in an urban area. He goes downstairs. There's a guy. He said, Todd, this guy is classified as, mentally afflicted. But I hear him in the mornings. He's speaking light language. And then he says, now there's a lady, that one of my neighbors, that has a stick that's got it because she's scared of him. And so he was basically saying, it is my responsibility to connect with each of those people, right? In order to contribute to the day when they both come together, and there's not that fear between them. So it's interesting hearing that, and then also like what that lady was saying earlier about how she's got one above her house and one below her house, right? I mean, so it's happening.
And, I got a channeling many years ago that said, Jesus did not heal you. Jesus didn't heal anyone else. He simply stood before you in pure love, purely healed himself, and he became the reflection. And so their hearts opened up to him. They just became, closer to what he was.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going to be doing. When you can stand in front of somebody who might be having an absolute tantrum or something and just purely love them, no judgment, no anything, and that's not active in you, they get to choose to continue or no, should I want some of that, I'm going to be the mirror.
There's another one, Laura Mitchell. She's on the YouTube. I'm not far from where you are. I look forward to meet when our paths meet. Yeah, there you go. Morgan.lee103@gmail.com. She's on YouTube, so she might not be on Facebook.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Joe says, Dr. Joe says Jesus, basically he was a facilitator, right?
He was a mirror. He was a mirror of what we all are striving to be. Another thing that I was told a few weeks ago is like any time that I'm doing anything, like if I'm connecting or any information coming through, to say out loud, I am of Christ energy. Kryst. I'm a Christ energy. And that, just saying that has been amazing. Not that I've never not trusted any of my information that comes through, but I felt each time I said it, I felt it actually jump up a level or two, or jump up a higher frequency or a higher notch or something.
After you told me that, I heard two people say that. I did. I heard two people say that, and or one of them may be in writing, I don't remember, but they both made the point that how it was spelled.
Wow. Well, and I mean, I don't get spelling when I do channelings, as you know, but it actually spelled it out. And then I noticed when I watched the replay of Nicola's show this morning, she used different words, but it was the same thing. Eon or I can't remember two words for that God. It wasn't Christ or Christ in it. It was two different words she spoke about. I know.
I don't remember.
But
I don't remember. Yeah.
ION or
I don't remember. That's too long ago. That's too far back in the past for me.
Well, I only watched it this morning and I can't remember it. So. But I remember the context of it, the frequency of it. She was talking about, having that intention that you're connecting with that frequency. I say to you, you would say, I love you every 5 minutes. I'm like, don't say that. It's been so, I love you has been so distorted. So same, if something, I feel, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I feel like, saying Jesus all the time, there's so much distortion associated with that because of what's been brought in by the churches. If there was another name for Jesus that's not used by the churches, for me, that's automatically going to be a higher frequency. Same with twin flames. Twin flames might have been a real thing. But so many people became addicted to twin flames and all the distortions then added to it, that if there was a twin flame thing, the frequency has been lessened by all the attachments and addictions and everything else that's been added to the morphic field of that concept.
Melina said Anu Dio, and then Julie Persian said Dio Cristo Spiritu Anu. And I heard something like that from somebody the other day. God, who was it? It was those. Who?
It was Nicola.
Oh, it was Nicola. Dio Cristo Spiritu Anu. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, here we go. Zilpha Meghedi, for the first time in my life, I realized why I am uncomfortable with I love you. Thank you, Morgan. Kiss, kiss. Kyrios is another one. Colin Broadley, Kyros. So, and it sounds like the energy of what you're describing with the octahedron has been happening for a while. Like this grid's been being built for a while, and I can remember going back at least 2 years, and you telling me I can see the grid. I can remember when we connected a couple of times, seeing the grid, a golden grid being formed by what looked like triangles, but it was actually octahedrons.
Well, the triangles were the first part, wasn't it? And then the upside down triangle. So we're now looking at a diamond if we look at it head on. And so what I've been watching over the years is that becoming more multidimensional. So now it's actually a fully formed octahedron.
Yeah.
In the beginning it looked like, and that made sense to me, that we're moving into Trinity energy, out of duality into Trinity, which I'd been told many, many years ago too. And I think that's why I became so passionate about, breaking down the duality, knowing that that's what I had to do in order to come to that trinified energy.
And then there's this relationship to this to the beehive, right? To the honeycomb. So what was I trying to say? With the 12, right? What is it? Hexagon. At some point, there. You said, like, if you back away from what's being formed, there's a hexagon quality to it.
Yeah. Okay. So if you imagine 6 people coming together that have got, whether they know it or not, but for me, I'm a huge fan of whatever we do consciously lets me know, and we're living it. It's embodied and it's anchored. I saw it happen. I know it's there. I can expand it whenever I want. It's conscious. For me, the consciousness is the key. So imagine 6 people coming together. They're all in their own octahedrons. Imagine looking at them, and each face, they're joined at each face, so you've got 6 there. Imagine looking down on that from above. The edges you're going to see form a hexagon.
And then the way, the structure, and the culture, I guess, or the makeup of the beehive community. I mean, this is so interesting, because then you have like beehive intelligence. They talk about beehive intelligence, which is monadic in nature, to where, like, when we had, when we connected, there were times when we had the monad experiences. And I remember you were channeling that, like, for instance, we had a monad experience with, say, 10 other people. And there was 12 of us in the monad. And I remember you channeling, it was like, okay, now anything that we can pull from anything in the monad, anything that somebody has code for, you can pull from. So you have that beehive intelligence, you have the beehive makeup, but the way it's structured,
a power source. All of us together become one power source. This is the energy of oneness. So it becomes like a power grid that we've got access to, 6 or 12 people all being there all at once, and we've got access to all of it. But then you start getting all these other ones, and this is oneness. This is the beehive. This is
yeah. So, and by the way, Jinjin wants to remind us that we slept under a beehive in her apartment. And that's true. That was a beehive. Yeah. But what I was getting at is what you were pulling out, this post that you did, and also the interaction you had with the Aboriginal elder or Aboriginal representative, right? When you went to Gympie Pyramid. And what I'm talking about is how, when you were talking to the elder, how when they were given the direction from Star Family, Pleiadian, that basically everybody has a function, and that's it. Almost like we all have a purpose. We're all finding our purpose, and we all fulfill that purpose. And the bees work the same way, right? Every bee has a specific function, to include the queen. Is a specific function, like you said, queen without a crown. Yeah. So that seems to all have come in at the same time, which I don't think is a coincidence.
I know. So if you think about the queen bee, she's there, and all she does all day, every day, is lay eggs to make more bees. And all the worker bees are all males, and they spend all day, every day collecting to feed her. They make sure that she's got all the water she needs, all the food, everything that she needs. That's what they do. And in the collection of they're pollinating. So the queen's there. We've given her the name of queen, but she doesn't know that she's a queen. She's actually just being of service to her hive. But from looking further afield, like maybe when she dies and becomes a spirit and looks back and says, "Oh wow, I really was a queen. It wasn't just the hive I was looking after. I was looking after all the forest around me, all the plants around me. Yeah. I was actually looking after the whole of humanity, because if I didn't exist, there would be no food and the world would die." So even though she's a queen bee, that's why they kept saying she's a queen without a crown. She's a queen without a crown. So I was being shown that this is what has happened in the last few days. All of these queens are going to come to the surface. They're going to share their ancient wisdom, their skills, their tools, their everything. And so they're in true service to humanity. The feminine, that's what, and I'm not saying she, but I mean, there'll be plenty. You're a queen bee. You're the voice of Soulogy. You're one of the voices of Soulogy. And, you know, my dream from the very beginning, and we were actually told it too, was that Soulogy was going to be the voice of the Mother Goddess energy coming through. So, and these people that are coming through that have hit this point and they've done that, you know, got rid of all the dross in the middle, none of them want to be the queen bee. They don't want to be the center of attention. They understand. And they actually said there are billions of queen bees around the planet with no crowns. So this is the energy of the Divine Mother Goddess I've been shown is coming back online. Everything that we do, our co-creations, everything that we do is for the service of humanity. So when that second activation came through, I don't know if you remember, the second part of the activation came through. So the first part was filled with white light, you know, the spiral activated, all that. When it came through the second time, it gave me step-by-step directions on how to bring up my own masculine, my own feminine, and ignite my sexual power, not sexual energy, fill up the octahedron with that, and then direct that to what I want. And I was asked, speak out loud of what you want. And I don't know, of all the things I could have asked for, I want to see Todd, or, you know, I need some money or anything like that. I said, I want to have communities around Queensland, around Australia, around the world. If you're sending so many of us out of anchored homes and security and everything, we need somewhere safe to rest our heads, affordable, comfortable, where we can meet other like-minded people, share codes. I didn't even know places like that would exist, but that's what I was asking to be created.
Which is where you ended up days later.
So I get up the next morning and I find this place. I didn't even know what it was, but I liked the price. I get here and I realise, wow, it's called a spiritual retreat, Linger Longer Spiritual Retreat. And her dream in 2004 was to build it for this reason. She's been building it over 17 years for this now. Yeah. So everyone who isn't spiritual got cleared out in the last few days, or who hadn't cleared enough of their dross, one might come back. And the first person that comes back is a mid-30s medium. Like, go figure. And so we felt it. We felt, here they come. Here they come. This is what I wanted, and here they come. Now, two questions I've asked myself is, God, why didn't I ask for some money? Or why didn't even better I asked, I want to get, back together with Todd. I understand the separation. I understand it was perfection, but, I'm back to, okay, we need to be back together. And I'm not really, and I am, but I couldn't understand. And they said to me, your wish wasn't a selfish or personal wish. Yes, it was part of yours, but it came from a place of the heart. It was it was what was going to be best for the community. What was going to be best for everybody.
It's trinified.
And then Chris Poulin came to visit me today, and she spent a couple of hours here with us. And another incredible woman that reached out to me about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, and she's telling me that 10 minutes out of Gympie on the other side, I think she was saying, they're building earth pods, a community earth. So they're out there and they're building little miniature sleeping quarters out of the earth, whether it's dirt, sticks.
Where's this at?
Not far from here, like 20-minute drive from here. So there's another community being built just, I think, on the other side of Gympie.
Yeah, there's definitely something happening over there. There's no doubt.
And then she went on to talk about another one not far away either. So, yes, 100% there's something happening around here. So let's go to that Aboriginal story, Todd. What you told me about.
Yeah. Tell them the story.
So he said to us that they were here and, they were struggling a bit, not really knowing what to do. And so all of the elders, the women of the elders, were called in from all over Australia towards Gympie. And that when they all arrived, the spaceships, the Pleiadians, landed and spent this time with them, taught them that, You know, when they had children, they had to teach children, okay, your job is to care for the kangaroos. You have to look after the kidneys. You have to look after the water. You have to look after the plants. You have to look after the koalas. Like, each person had something that their number one focus, like their job was to do, and they spent their whole life making sure the koalas were always kept. They were never allowed to eat kangaroos, and the rest of the community could. Like, whatever their job was, they had to put 100% of their energy into making sure that this part of Mother Earth was looked after. So they spent a period of time, no one can say exactly how much time, but they spent all this time here teaching them how to survive on the earth and how to expand the earth and all that sort of stuff. And then they were told, now go off, spread as far as you can, and share this information. And he was saying to me that they did walk about, they went back to either where they did or went to other places. And he said that there's actual scientists have confirmed Aboriginal artifacts have been found, glyphs and things have been found in South America. So he said some of them travelled far, far and wide to give all the teachings of the Pleiadians, and they were told, you are our children, we created you, we're here to teach you, and this is what it's going to be like, and they have followed that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stories around the world. You know, it's common knowledge out there. I haven't researched as much as a lot of people have, but there's, the Native Americans have their own story, the Dogon tribe, and then we were talking earlier, and then of course they follow the same. Like the Dogon tribe, I think, is connected to Sirius, but it's the same story, and they always teach the feminine because the feminine were more open and receptive. And then the other thing you were saying about the evidence being in South America, and I was telling you, there's Egyptian hieroglyphics in the Four Corner area of the U.S. Then you've got what they call I think they call them the ant people, the Navajos. There's a section in the Grand Canyon where nobody can go but the tribe. That's got a long history. It's the same type of story. So, I think this is part of the history that's going to come out, that's going to generate a lot of code in people. That's why I like Robert Sepper's work, because even though it looks like an anthropology presentation, there's a lot of history that we have not been told, that just hearing it, it brings memory forth and code. So this is kind of like we're all under the radar, It's regardless of what's being put out there and presented and offered to us. There's this. That's why I said this octahedron grid has been being constructed for quite some time.
Now, keep in mind, this is my metaphor. My metaphor, I was going to say only, but then there's a whole bunch of other people coming forth with these octahedron information, whatever, as well. So I don't know. I love how, the more and more that we're all doing this and reaching this level, we're starting to understand that we're all just remembering and aligned with universal intelligence. It doesn't matter who you listen to. There's so much similarity. We might be listening to different translations or different metaphors or whatever of it, but we're actually all just remembering that pure source energy at the moment.
Yeah. True that. Yeah. And then again, you have this distortion that's running parallel, which just makes it fascinating to me. It's just absolutely fascinating because the gifts of the triggers, it's amazing. And then in this age of where people are finding their voice, so it's interesting to see, to not get pulled into it and to be able to look at yourself and say, yeah, I can stay neutral. I can make my own choices, and I can respect other people's choices, and we can still break bread together. I mean, it looks crazy, but you can see the perfection of it.
But the other thing of staying in neutral, though, is that we're not going out to this right or this wrong, this duality or that duality. We're actually learning to maintain our own sexual power. We're learning to pull it all in, maintain it, not get lost over in these external distractions. So while we're in that space, we've got more power to start manifesting the things that we want to co-create together. And whether that's done consciously, if I come to you and say, Todd, do you want to go into business with me? Or you've got the same dream that I've got, we're thinking of the same thing, whether we talk about it or not, we're sending that energy to the things that we do want to see happening. I mean, look at all these community places pop. I didn't even know they existed here in Australia, and now I know about 3 of them, 20 minutes, within where I currently am. I forced myself to stay in an environment because I didn't think that there was another option. And the minute I took that leap and stepped out of it, boom, they all just one by one. And I've got another incredible offer today of not only am I lucky enough to be here, but the lady that runs it wants to go on a holiday and says to me, would you house sit for me and take over this and look after it for 4 to 6 weeks while I travel? I'm like, oh, yes, I would love to. So there's these other things that wouldn't have even entered my mind. I've already started thinking, God, I better start looking for other house sits. Where am I going to go next? And all this sort of stuff. And, just bang, 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 one after another when I let go and trust, I guess.
Tanya Inset said, I've received the same with the octahedron as the totality of the new human, the heart way. Diane Grocott, she was on just recently. She says there's ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics near Gosford, NSW, New South Wales.
Wow.
Says there's an intriguing book called Alcharinga, which reveals images, and it's very connected to the Aboriginals. Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to contact them in the next couple of days and see if that Aboriginal elder will come on, and I'm sure he will, because he actually wants us all to know about this.
I think that'd be awesome.
And not only that, but he's very, very learned in the protocol, in the laws. He was explaining to us what's going on at the moment is tyranny. What the Australian government is pure tyranny. And he was able to, quote this and quote that and this section and that's. I mean, they know their business.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It was really impressive.
Here's another
mixture of almost like being in university, hearing all these laws from him, and then being taken around and the circles and the sacred sites and the pyramid itself. Like I kept moving passing. I'm looking for bushes I can run and go and vomit. Like when we came together, the new frequencies would make us or faint. It was exactly the same there when I hit certain places. It was phenomenal. It was really incredible.
This is interesting too, considering the timeline of this year with you and I and others. In terms of things happening, validating wise, she says that the octahedron came and anchored in the period around the March equinox, the new energy grid for us. That because March was a pretty that was a point. What was it? End of May, 1st of June was another point.
You think about what happened for us on the 9th of March, 10th of March, and 11th of March. But there are people, like it might have anchored them, but there have been lots of people that have been coming forth. Well, Nicola Farmer said, I've been playing with it for 10 years. I've been playing with it for 6 years. Who was the other person we met? Tom
Kenyon.
Tom Kenyon's been used. He's apparently got some activation for it. So there's obviously been people around the planet that have been using it, tuning into it. So yeah, maybe it was anchored. Maybe it was anchored around that time.
Well, I can remember the first part of the year, you channeled it before, but I can remember the first part of the year, the grid. Of course, at that time it was a triangle because you were only seeing the top or whatever. But I remember the golden. I remember, and I remember hearing that we were the grid. We were the geometry itself.
Yeah, the grid. So I would see like the joint points is where we were the beacons, and then at a certain point we would light up almost like and it was explained to me like the power of when the sperm and the egg come together. Which is what we're doing now. We're merging our divine feminine, our divine masculine through fixing all of our own and being 100% responsible for all of our own distorted feminine, distorted masculine. When the divine feminine and divine masculine come together, the next natural thing that's going to occur is that they're going to birth their own golden child. So we then become this human being that contains consciously the essence of our divine feminine, our divine masculine, and our golden child. And we're operating now as this conscious human being upon the new grid that doesn't wear a crown, that understands we are We are all one.
Yeah. Mavis, power of creation. That's exactly what it is to me. It's like the yeah. Yeah. It's and who was it that was here? God, I can't ever remember people. I think it was today. Did I do 2 shows today? Who was the second show? But anyway,
You did
who?
Brian.
No, it must have been the day before. And they were saying, oh, it was Pamela Johnson.
Oh, and Neil Devaney.
And she said that, yes, we've done this before, obviously, but we've never done this before. In other words, it's never been like this before. Like this is all new code. And my feeling was when I did this, when this happened yesterday, when everybody got that thing yesterday, when that 3-day period was over, and I was told to get on, it was like the journey. We've reached the destination, but the destination was just the liftoff point, right? And somebody else said it today in another way, that it's just begun now, like it's just started now.
Yeah. And now we get to practice. What does that look like? And we can feel almost immediately. There is a split second that all of us are always aware of. We're about to do something. I mean, it's a split second of doubt or fear or something. Now, if we force ourselves to go ahead and it was wrong, then we create more guilt or shame or something, and we have to, some more work to do. If we notice that split second and go, actually, no, that's not okay to do that, and pull back, we haven't entered that duality. And then if there's things that are so pure, they just come directly from our heart, and there is no split second moment to make a decision.
Yeah. Here's another one. Here's another from Chris Hamilton, another holy shit moment. I woke up with a knowing last night that I should look back to April to see what I began birthing back then, and that it would be birthed in 9 months, which is December. That's interesting. Huh. What else we got? Human-ness. That seems to be, and I think not culminated, but it was further accentuated today talking to Taini or whatever. I'm Spanish. I can't even pronounce his name, but he was saying that, like he said, we don't know how to be human. We've never been human. We've always been this version, right? And now we're learning how to actually be human, and what that entails. We're finding out, like literally moment by moment, to include higher sensitivities and all the, let's say, supernatural things that the limitlessness of it. I thought that was a good point, because we all know, no matter what you're pulling in, if you don't bring it in, it doesn't mean anything, which is your famous words to me when I met you.
Yeah, we can all know as whatever we want, but unless we're actually anchored and embody it and we're living it, it's useless. And we've met people, like, surprisingly, that knew all this, but didn't live any aspect of it in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Everybody has to do something, right? I mean, everybody has to have it presented to them in their own way. No matter what we're told, we have to experience it. So it's, and I've always said, that's why I marvel at people like you, because I think, well, how the hell do you bring all this information in for all these years and not become a snob? It would be perfectly understandable. It's a challenge to the ego.
Yes, and you have to be aware of that. And I went through that. So I'd get this information, and then I'd find myself feeling very clever or very special for a few days. And I could see, if I don't grasp this, I'm going to have this massive, big ego problem. So I would never let myself write about anything when it first came in. I made sure I anchored and embodied it until that my ego realized, well, you're not clever or special. This is available for everyone and anyone. Just because of my childhood, I learned through childhood to dissociate. And then, as I got older and older, the dissociation took me to, my brain's being trained into connecting very easy with that. You know, I didn't have to do meditation. That doesn't make me special. That makes something that I saw that was bad as a childhood was actually training me to naturally be able to flip between different states. So, you know, what I do is I see a lot of people get this new stuff and they're, oh my God, I'm really special. And they start teaching it, not really, they're coming from ego rather than they haven't anchored it, embodied it. Because when it's truly anchored and embodied, you realize you're not special at all. You're actually weird or crazy.
Yeah, a lady came on this past week too, and don't ask me who it was, and she was saying that. She was saying how she'd gotten all this information and that she kind of had a second wake up, which was she realized that she hadn't embodied any of it. And that's when she started, graduate school, I guess, as far as ascension goes. And then another thing I heard today that I thought was pretty interesting from Taino was that he went into addiction. His parents were alcoholics, and the story, the grandfather and so on. And he called it not disassociation. He called it, but the same thing. And it was so interesting listening to him because basically he was choosing to leave his body. That's what he was saying. He was disembodying through drugs and alcohol.
Yep.
I told him, I said, that sounds so similar to what Morgan and others have talked about when they've gone through traumatic experiences and they leave their body. But the same thing happened for him. He was connecting, but then he got to the point where he realized, I got to go back in. I've got to go back into my body and function.
Yeah, I don't think it matters how you do it. It really doesn't matter. I mean, one of my favorite sayings, there are many, many paths up a mountain. It doesn't matter how you get to the top of the mountain. It really doesn't, I really look forward to, finding more and more of these hidden ancient wisdom keepers that are going to start coming out more and share stuff that we haven't even thought of yet and how they did it and what they know. And that's what I'm getting really excited about.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think the more people that step forward, the less an individual is going to be inclined to think their way is the only way. The information that comes into individuals is extremely incredible. But I think all the pieces, and we're starting to see it, that's what you're talking about, how this convergence is happening. Like this whole thing with the 18th, 19th, 20th, I mean, you got you, Yvonnya, Jason, Franco. There was somebody else that was really prominent that pointed to that period. I mean, that's too much coincidence.
But if you really search, you'd probably find tens and tens of thousands of people. I mean.
Yeah.
I don't speak Russian, but I'm sure if I found Russian friends, it would be all through there as well. It wasn't just, a few. There were tens of thousands of people around the planet that knew that this was coming. Everyone could feel it. They might not have been, like I can feel something else big coming. I don't know. I can't give you a date, but I can feel it.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that really interests me is the way this thing's deconstructing. I keep looking at the mainstream media to include the social media platforms and how stupid they are. I don't mean stupid as in like we're better. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's so obvious what's being presented that it doesn't hold any weight. For instance, tonight, and I got a real laugh about this, and I don't have any political affiliations, and it was Donald Trump, for many people, the savior, with the savior mentality. He actually came out at this speech tonight and was advocating the medical procedure. He got booed at his own rally. Now, these are the type of things I think that are going to happen. You know what I mean? It's almost like there's nowhere left to stand, right? Like nothing holds weight. It's just, what do you have left? Well, all you got left is you, which is what we've all found out. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, well, it's been an hour and 4 minutes and 29 seconds. you're gonna sing a song now, right? This is the big surprise tonight.
Only if you do what I keep asking you to do for
I
me.
can't do that in public. I can only do that in private for you. Now they're probably the NSA is probably gonna take over my camera and blackmail me. Yeah. No, it's been a good month at Soulogy. These hero journeys. Anyone that wants to step up and talk about their journey, not from a place of victim consciousness, but from a place of transformation. It's been very powerful. We've had some incredible shows. It's amazing, and the amazing thing is, because I'm there with the person is they don't even know what's going to happen until they start, and then I get these messages and they're long, and they talk about, you got a couple of them. They message you too, where they're just, I don't know how to explain it, but you can see that their level of love for themselves and honor and respect is just gone through the roof. And there you go with the octahedron to me. Yeah. Go ahead.
It reminds me of when we did the Me Too movement. These women found the courage to come up and talk about their childhood sexual assault. They were shaking their boots. They were really frightened to do it, but they'd get off and they're like, oh my God, that was amazing. Oh my God, I feel free of it now. I was never allowed to tell anyone. This reminds me of the same thing. I did this because I could see that we were drowning in self-promotion, self-marketing, people trying to sell their products or their services. We didn't want we didn't want that. I definitely didn't want that. We didn't want that anymore. So I thought if we come up with a special for the month, that it's going to be a reset. We're actually going to maybe get back.
I agree. I don't think we're drowning in it. I think we always had a hero's journey kind of element, but we've always been fighting off the marketing agenda oriented thing. And that's not to damn anybody or judge anybody, because there's certainly a lot of platforms for that. But the reality is, this is what works. I mean, I've been saying it for years, that this is the highest activation, downloads, channelings that we can get are coming from each other, just being transparent as we can. And that obviously creates a lot of vulnerability, which, as you've pointed out for years, is true power. So anyone that wants to step forward, Soulogy Network at gmail.com.
It's about, experiences with UFOs or beings or, something exciting or heart-moving, heart stories. It doesn't have to be the hero's journey, but like the real stuff from the human's perspective. I think if somebody's got something that they do or they're going to sell, you're going to connect with them anyway. I mean, every time I listen to Nicola, I don't have sessions with anyone, but there's a part of me who just wants to reach out and connect with you. Can I pay you? I want to spend an hour with you. I know I'm not a child, but that frequency is we're meant to be aligning with the frequencies rather than what we think somebody else can do for us.
Yeah. Well, it's in that's one of those things too that just isn't sticking. I think we're lucky enough to have it had already been seeded. If somebody just made the comment, I've never felt Soulogy is too promoting ever, and we've been conscious not to. That's why we've never charged for anything. But anyway, it's contagious. Number one, the more people that do it, the more people that are comfortable enough to do it. In fact, I talked to a guy tonight who I won't mention his name. He's going to be coming on. He's been out there. I'm not too familiar with him, but I went and checked him out. I heard some things about him. He's been out there sharing and bearing his soul for a long time in a lot of really interesting, artistic and creative ways. And he was approached by Morgan. You don't even know this, but he was approached by you a few months ago, I guess. And he said no, because he was like all of them. He just didn't want all that attention or energy on him. And then Monique hit him up right before she, went on the road. And so I went in there and I saw it and I sent him a note. And he wrote me a note back, and really in the contents of the note, he was just saying, that's where I was, and this is where I am now, and I'm ready. And so here we go.
I had Chris here today, and she was talking about, when it's not just that, but it's also wanting to pull people in who are ready to have heart-to-heart communication. She was talking about, sometimes when you would talk from your heart about, say, herioscamos or sacred sexuality, and there were certain people that were uncomfortable with it, so they start laughing or making jokes around it or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. So it's like somebody who's there, who's fully present, who's comfortable enough to hear whatever it is without having to turn it into something funny too.
Yeah. Well, that was really along those lines, like doing the show with Alicia Brachet a few days ago, seeing how emotional she got in the telling of her story, which did involve some things that aren't mainstream, to include full form physical ET visitation in her bedroom. If y'all haven't seen that show, it's absolutely fantastic. She talks about basically being pregnant, but not by conventional standards. And not only that, but connecting with women throughout the world who are doing the same. What's that?
I know it's not you. You haven't got any money. They just landed at my door.
Who gave them to you?
I don't know, but I just know it's not you.
It may be that place you just left.
Oh, him? No, he doesn't know where I am. I made sure he didn't.
But what I was saying, that's pretty. What I was saying was that you could see, so that wasn't a traditional or typical story. Yet you could see how much it took for her to tell it, and that was powerful. That was extremely powerful.
Very powerful. And this is, my plan for this is, when you're talking, if your heart's open and you're talking to someone and their heart's open, at some point there's going to be, the sperm in the egg, the power of that, like a energetic atomic bomb going off. And if we can grasp that, then everyone in the audience will feel that as well. And so you've got all these people in a space of oneness that all get this huge, big, beautiful, organic. It reminds me of, when someone's heart stops and you put those things on the heart, like a heart starter or something like that. Boom! That's what I'm looking for. And Alicia's pure, raw honesty with it, straight from her heart was very, very powerful. And she probably did that with a few people or whatever, but those connections where something touches you so hugely that you can't help but completely open up. Like making love.
Who?
Like making who? You don't want that is anymore.
Making love. Real love.
That connection of oneness. Yeah. You said who? No, it's
I can't hear. I'm over here.
For people who are together.
Well, we can do that without physically being together. That's occurred. So here we go. What else you got?
Oh, look at that!
That's nice.
Just beautiful.
That's very nice. Nice.
Those are where they're from.
They're big flowers,
aren't they? There's a name for them. I don't know much about flowers.
I don't either.
Gerbils, I think.
I just know roses. That's about it. Okay. Well, I don't know if anybody has any questions. We're not like experts or nothing, but if anybody has any questions, Gayatri. There's Gayatri. Hey, Gayatri, you see the?
Her cards behind you. Yeah.
I have Gayatri. I was told when I moved up in here to Morgan's office to pull out 12 dragons, and they're still over there.
And then you had that dragon that came the other night, and you rang to her deck to show me which dragon it was that was above you.
What was it?
The gold one.
Dignity. It was dignity. Yeah, a dragon, Gayatri, a dragon with scales on the. Is that what you call them? Fins or scales? Dorset, appeared in the window, and so I went and pulled it, and it was dignity. That was pretty cool. I forgot about that. Oh, somebody has a lot of questions. Well, yeah, anybody has a question, we'll see if we can do something with it. But if not, we're gonna. Gail Barnett,
Yes,
in the
can you
house.
send her a huge big love from us? I absolutely adore her. And Todd, you tell her she has to come back on soon.
Yeah, you know what? I've been doing a lot of downloading and editing, and I hadn't gone to Gayatri got the dignity card today. I went through all the YouTube stuff. YouTube, we haven't been on very long, like maybe what, a year and 8 months. We got 9,300 people on there now though. But I was looking at the audience engagement
Look what I
on
got, Gail. Oops.
I was looking at the audio engagement, and it's really ramped up. And I noticed they had some nice comments on Gail's show. Yeah, we definitely want to have Gail back. Happy full moon, everybody. Forgot about that.
That was last night.
Was it last night? Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah, we were having a women's circle down around the fire pit. We all had like finger food. It was pure magic.
Yeah. I'm over here drinking juice and organic tea, wondering what the hell happened to my identity.
I'm over here playing up and living like I'm Todd. I've even behaving like Todd. I used to tell him off for having a toilet roll next to his bed to blow his nose, next to on the show. And I pulled it out the other day. I'm crying and was like, oh my goodness, I'm turning into Todd. I'm eating where I didn't used to eat, and he's juicing and becoming all healthy, and I'm playing up and being Todd.
There you go.
I'm not playing up like Todd did, though. I'm just doing my version of playing up, not Todd's version of playing up.
Whatever that means. I just want to know why you didn't tell me everyone noticed I had rash all over my head and face.
I did tell you. I told you for 4 weeks. Todd, go and get this stuff.
I didn't think you could see it that well.
Looks like
honestly, let's just put it on the table. I don't know what the hell's going on. My hair is turning pure white since you left.
Well, you'll see in a couple of months.
It's getting very thin. I think I'm shedding my skin. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah,
it must be. Yeah.
You do that. You don't worry about your hair. You're beautiful. You look beautiful with
I'm not. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that at all. I did see a lot of people talking. Yeah, Merlin's right there, but I did see a lot of people talking about on the shows this past week joint pain, tendon and joint pain, and
about 3 or 4 weeks of the hip pain. It started
that was another one. There were comments on YouTube and questions. Actually, there was a question on YouTube this past week, and they were asking about, did you know anything about what that's about? And they were specific to the hips. It was a woman. So I don't know if anybody knows, but the reason I brought it up is because when I started basically doing what I'm doing as far as the juicing and the water and the tea, I noticed all that stuff went away. Not right away, but after a period of time, it went away. There's Jungle John. We got to get him back on. Sorry, I haven't got back with you, John.
I found out a secret the other day. I was talking to Michael Mejia.
Mm-hmm.
Jungle Jim and Michael Mejia are like this. They talk all the time. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, he's part of our family then, no doubt. No doubt at all. All right. Okay. I've got lots of itchy hives at since Lionsgate. I did too, but I got rid of them. I had this stuff.
You looked like you had pox or something, like you had red spots. Or I've got 2 on my nose actually, but your whole face was covered.
I know. My whole face and scalp.
Yeah, you looked like a mess, and I was telling you, and you wouldn't do anything about it. And then today you said to me you saw a video last night of yourself from weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Somebody else told you your skin looked really bad, and you finally. They
said, what did Morgan give you to get rid of that rash on your face? That's what they said. What is this? Gail's got a comment. Hang on a second. She says, that's the wrong one. John, love you too. Let's see. Hang on. That's just so. Gail says, I love you too. Love you, Morgan. Been through a lot. Son-in-law dying 2 weeks ago. See what influence you have on her. You're beautiful. Okay, thank you. That's beautiful. She's beautiful. Beautiful lady. She's like an auntie.
She's like Sandra, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Does she remind you of Sandra?
Yes, yes, she does. Alicia's story was wonderful and powerful. Hip issues, moving forward, joints, connection to the physical world. That's Fiona Cartridge. She's pretty well read on that stuff. And wasn't that an amazing show? Louise Jane, sacrum pain, the sacred bone. I had immense pain in July and felt it was a deep clearing of the trauma stored there. Yeah, that makes sense to me. And then maybe the hips has to do with the feminine clearing too, hips, childbirth. I don't know.
I had a lot of that in, my last couple of months of pregnancy.
Well, there we go. Yeah, could be. And then Bruce.
I'm not pregnant though, because I've been celibate for about 4 months.
Except for the second night you were in quarantine when I visited you. That was a physical encounter.
Yeah.
How did that feel? Was it? You never told me. You just said you finally surrendered, and you never told me.
If he was as good as you, or if you were better. Is that what you're asking?
It was me. What are you talking about? Oh, you mean my light body? If my light body's better than me?
Better than your physical.
I can't compete with my light body.
Your light being.
Yeah, I can't compete with my light body. How am I going to compete with my light body?
We align with it.
Yeah. Jason evidently talked about rashes. I think it had to do with a lot of because I've seen other people have it, and stuff coming up and being cleared, and it's in the physical.
Well, you were juicing, and you were saying that you had pieces of skin like this big.
I did. I'm going to tell you, that first 8 weeks it was about 80%, 85% juice is all I took in, and then gradually no meat at all.
In that couple of weeks.
You
weren't at your best in that few weeks.
No, it was brutal. I did major purging in every way possible. It was just crazy. You tried to
tell me about it.
It was debilitating.
Yeah. Okay. Let's change the subject before you go there.
Yeah. Well, I do it in dream state for the most part. Gayatri said she had portals open in her forehead and vertigo since then. I had 3 bouts, 1 last night, 2 today, where I don't know what they were, but they were like major pulsations in my body. Okay, so Jason said in his last talk that the aches are related to the 4,000 data point surge. Yeah. All right.
Oh.
And Julie says you're pregnant with a golden child. All right.
Todd.
What?
Todd, you're pregnant with a golden child.
I'm not pregnant. No. Oh. My stomach's getting flat as a board. It's almost as flat as I was when I was 17.
Show me.
Not yet. It is, and you know it is. It's getting there. It's not flat as a board yet. Okay. So, all right. Let's rock and roll.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go to bed here in a minute, so I'll call you before I go to bed. About 15 or 20 minutes. Is that all right? You're going to be around?
Yeah, I'm going to go out and find out who gave me flowers.
It's probably your boyfriend. It's okay. Just let me down easy, will you? What is this? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with this whole thing, like Alicia was talking about, and other women have talked about, like the energy of a pregnancy, right? I mean, that's not uncommon to hear women talk about that. Okay. Well, appreciate it, everybody. You got anything else, Morgan?
No, I'm good.
All right. I'll call you in 20 minutes or less, 15 to 20 minutes. I need to, clean up, tidy up, take out the trash. It's trash day. All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.